Yeah. Okay. So to start with, I will go ahead with a quick introduction about myself and then a small introduction from your side as well, Ravi and Sampath. Uh, Let us not take much time there. We can get going with the other topics of introduction with the DevOps and other things. So this is Jayashree here, and I have around 8 years of experience with IT industry, specifically with DevOps. And I have worked with several DevOps tools. Mainly, I'm working currently with Azure DevOps, with all the modules of Azure DevOps, like the Azure boards, repos, backlogs, artifacts, test plans, pipelines, everything. So apart from this, I also have experience working with Jenkins, Docker, and then Kubernetes, Terraform, and most of the tools with the IT standard. But I think for you guys, these tools will be very new and the words also will be new. So let me not take too much of time in explaining all the other experience and the tools that I have worked on. So this is a quick and short introduction about myself. So Ravi, can you please go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, myself, Ravi. I'm from Hyderabad and I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's degree in Missouri State University with majoring in computer science and minor in mathematics.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is a short form of my introduction, and I am especially interested in DevOps. I'm also currently doing a course on DevOps, like which is IBM Professional Software Engineering and DevOps Professional Certification. So,
That's
uh,
great.
adding to it, this this course and which also enhances my professional course. It will be an both add on to my career. I believe so.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Myself, I'm Sampath and I'm from Hyderabad. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's senior year at Missouri State University with major in computer science and minor mathematics. And I have done some course related to DevOps in Google Coursera certificate. And I'm very passionate towards this DevOps, and I'm really interested to learn from you.
Okay, great. That's great. So let me quickly go ahead and share my screen where I have the presentation. Hello, Can you all hear me? I'm so sorry that my
Yeah,
got
Yeah.
dropped.
no problem.
Let me share my screen. Please confirm me once you're able to see my screen.
Yeah, we can say.
Yeah.
So, let me go ahead and so as we are moving towards DevOps, let me go ahead and give you the DevOps introduction. So before we understand what is DevOps and what is it usually plays the role in IT industry, right? Because we keep seeing everyone talking about DevOps in a very larger context. So DevOps, personally, what I feel is that we have come across different definitions for DevOps, but to keep it very simple, DevOps is a practice that will bring a major change when we are working in the IT industry. Okay, so what is that change called? So the change is that all the teams that are involved in a product. So what happens is when we are learning computers or when we are dealing with computers, what is that we are going to do? What we do is that we have a product and we keep on developing that product, testing that product, and we wanted to bring that product into the market, right? The simple example would be like the Amazon website. So Amazon website is also a product which is readily available for us through the software as a service, right? So similarly, each and every company has their own apps that come across into the market with quality, with change every week or every 15 days, the new features that come into the product. So all these are comprises to a term which is called as DevOps, which will be a process in bringing the latest features of a product to the customers. Okay, so let us understand a model which was previously used before we came across the DevOps process. So in the olden days, we came across the waterfall model, wherein the model usually says that we get the requirements from the clients and we do the design of that product or the software. Then we actually do the implementation, which might have the different phases or the different features for that product. Then we do the verification through the testing, because once you have the software, you will go ahead to test that software product if it is meeting the expectations as per the client or as per the functionalities that were expected. Once the testing is done and there is a go from both client and the offshore team, we will be deploying that into the prod. That means we will be bringing that product into the market, and then onwards we will keep on maintaining it based on the feedback that we are getting from the customer. So this was the waterfall model. So you can ask me a question, what is we were quite good with this model, right? So we were following it in the olden days and we were good with this approach. Why did we go to DevOps? And what is the DevOps significant here, right? So for that question, we have a new method which was used in DevOps process that is called as the Agile methodology. So here there will be a question in your mind, what is it? What is the difference between Agile and DevOps? Because these are the two different terms that we have just came across, right? So DevOps is a process where you involve with different teams to get the product to the market. But what is Agile? So Agile is a methodology which will tell you how you need to follow the steps, right? So DevOps, you know that you have several steps that you need to follow, but what is the standard for it? because for every product that we purchase in the market will have a certain standard, right? Like the ISI mark. Similarly, we have this agile methodology, which says there are several terms that will be used in agile, which will help us to measure our work accurately. Got it? And also I would say, in case if you have any doubts with any topics that we are discussing, please stop me there. Even if it is a basic question, I don't mind. And even if you don't understand it once, twice, thrice, please stop me there, ask the question, let us clarify and move ahead. Okay. So in the agile methodology, what we do is that we have several terms like the safe agile framework, and we have several terms that will be used in agile methodology, which I'll be covering in a later topics. But for now, agile methodology is a method that will put a standard mark for us to follow the DevOps process. Okay, and what is this has is that, as you can see here, we have accept, build, test, design, and plan. And we have iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, and then we have the deployment for all of these 3, right? So let me go ahead and tell you the different terminologies that we use in the agile. Okay, so in agile we are using the term called as epic, term called as feature, term called as user story, and then task, and then bug. Okay, with respect to the flow, let me give you a simple explanation about epic. Okay, so when you talk about epic, it is like a requirement, I would say, because when we are dealing with the product, the first thing that we will be noting down, or the initial step, is to gather the requirements, right? So whenever you're gathering the requirement, how huge is the requirement? We need to know how much is the requirement that we can do it in a particular time, right? So epic, let us take an example for an epic. Epic is a requirement which will be similar to building a Amazon website. Okay, so Amazon website is a huge requirement which will be named or termed as epic work item. Under epic, we will be having feature which is self-explanatory, which tells you about the feature itself. That means what are the other features that come inside a product. Say for example, for Amazon website, inside Amazon, what all features we have. Like we have the options to serve the different categories items in Amazon, right? So it is for the, say for example, we have food products in Amazon, we have the cloths in Amazon, we have stationaries, we have other things in Amazon. So these are the categories or the features that the Amazon gives. So that's where we have this feature work item coming under this agile methodology. Then we have the user story, which says more simpler requirement compared to features. Say for example, feature is one that I am picking the clothing. Okay, so for clothing, under that we have the subcategory like men, women, kids, right? So these men, women, kids are the requirements which will be termed as user story. Okay, under the user story, you will have the actual task that we are going to do. That means in case if I have to display a pop-up whenever we are purchasing, say for example, even for the clothing, you will have different types of shirts, whether it is a collared one or uncollared one or Chinese collar. So you have different categories, right? In order to accommodate all those things, we have the user stories, we have the tasks, and bugs will not come into picture right now. It will come into picture when you hand over the product to testing team. Testing team does a test, and then in case if they find any kind of bugs, they will be raising the bug under that. Okay, so right now let us not take more time in explaining this safe framework, because we will be creating the organization first by ourselves, and I'll be showing you how all these work items come into picture there practically, so that you will understand it even more better than the explanation. Okay. And this agile methodology will tell you that you will have to start developing or start doing a feature by time span. Okay, so now here if you see the iteration one, which says the timeline. Okay, so usually in the agile we have 2 weeks of time for every new change to reflect in the product. So iteration one, which will be a span of 10 days, iteration two, which will be a span of 10 days. In that 10 days, whatever work we have done will be demoed at the end of the 10th day to the customer. And then based on the agreement, we will move forward or carry forward the changes to the next sprint. Okay, sprint is the next cycle or the other name for the iteration. Okay, so this will be the cycle that keeps on repeating whenever a new change will happen. That means when a change will happen, you will accept the change, you will start building that application, you will test the application, you will design the application, and then you will plan it. Okay, it will be from plan actually. Sorry, you will plan the application, design it, test it, build it, and then accept the changes. Then you will go to the deployment. Okay, so let us not go ahead in deep with it. Let me move on to the actual diagram that will help you to understand in simpler terms about the DevOps. So here you can see you have development team here, you have IT operations team here, you have quality assurance, which will be the testing team here. So all these teams together work with a team called as DevOps. Okay, that is why the DevOps is gaining popularity, because DevOps is a person who will be communicating with all the other teams involved in the product. Okay, so to specify the process flow, how this DevOps flows, right? So as we have already seen in the Agile methodology, what happens is that whenever there is a requirement, the DevOps team will go ahead and sit to understand the flow with planning, like what is that we are going to deliver in this term or in this sprint for the particular product. From plan, we will be looking at the code. What is the source control management tool that we will be using for the particular requirement? Then we'll be looking at how to build it, how to test it, and how to release it, and how to operate it, how to monitor it. Okay, in simple terms, this is the phases of the DevOps life cycle, which will help you to deliver the product with quality during the tenure that the client has been agreed upon. Okay, and then here, with respect to the Azure DevOps tool that we are going to see further, I have mentioned the different sections or the tools that we are using from Azure DevOps for the DevOps process. So as I told you, once you start with a project, we will usually plan the project, right? So for the planning, we will be coming across with the Azure reports within the Azure DevOps tool, which will help us to track the backlogs and maintain the backlogs in terms of boards, in terms of sprints, in terms of all the other agile work items that I just mentioned, the epic, feature, user story, task, everything. So once the requirement is clear, then we will be implementing with the code with Azure repository, and then we will be building the solution using the Azure pipelines, then testing the solution using Azure test plans. Then we will have the release cycle where we have the Azure artifacts to consume the artifacts from the build and deploy using the release pipelines, and then operate using the Azure, and then monitor it using the different monitoring tools. Okay, in order to understand DevOps, we should also have the minimal knowledge with one of the cloud providers. So the very popular cloud providers are Azure, AWS, and GCP. So in case if we understand one cloud provider, like we will be concentrating on Azure here, similar similar concepts will be there in AWS and GCP also, only the terminology change will be there in the other two cloud providers. So we will also be covering the Azure tool basics as well here. So this will be the quick introduction about today's class, wherein uh, we have understood what is DevOps is and what was the process that we were using before, like the waterfall model, and what is the advantage of using DevOps over the waterfall model, and what is Agile framework, Agile methodology, and what is the flow that we have for the DevOps and the different tools inside Azure DevOps that we are using it in the flow. Okay. So right now what I want is, I want one of you to start the screen share, because the first 30 minutes is for the theory where we try to understand the concepts. The next 30 minutes will be, mostly we will be having the practical sessions itself, because today is the introduction class. I just wanted you to take you all through the theory of understanding the different concepts of DevOps. So now I want you to start the screen share, and everything that we do will be from the Google, because I don't want to spoon feed. We will be going to be the professionals, right? So we need to know what is the correct type of approach that we'll have to do while we are left independently to work, right? So I want you to, one of you to share the screen, and I will guide you from there on how we can go ahead and create the Azure DevOps organization. What is that is required to create the Azure DevOps organization. Got it? So let me
Yeah.
stop the screen share. And who will be sharing the screen for me? Ravi or Sampath?
I am going to share the screen.
Yeah, Sampath, go ahead, share the screen. Okay. Yes, I can see your screen. Yeah, I want you to type in creating Azure DevOps organization. Azure DevOps, AZURE. Azure space DevOps organization. Yes. Yes. Okay. One second. No. Whenever you search any Google, right, you will have to take the, don't consider the ad, consider the docs.microsoft.com. Can you please scroll down a little bit? Scroll down. Yes. So this will be, yeah, the first docs.microsoft.com, right? So anything related to Azure DevOps, please refer to this link. Okay. Yeah. Please click on that link. Okay. So if you come down, this is a reference document, okay, on how you can create the organization. So you can refer to it later. Just scroll down a little. Yeah. Can you click on sign into Azure DevOps? That link. This document is for reference only. You can refer that. Yeah. Get started with this. Continue. Okay. This will be your Azure DevOps organization. You can specify any name. You can give any test or whatever name that you. Yes. Enter the characters. Okay. You should not type in capital letters for the organization. Okay.
Oh, it says the name has already taken.
You can give Sampath Kumar test, something like that.
Okay.
Don't give space. You should not mention space in the organization link. Yeah. Yeah, now you go ahead. SYGYMX. Small p. Small p. Continue.
I think the second one is small y maybe.
Yeah, it's small. Okay, you are in. Once you create a organization, you will be prompted to create a project by default. Go ahead and give any project name. You can give test or what, Azure DevOps only. Okay, yeah, click on create project. For the first time, you will see only the private, and you can select both private or public, but it's better that you create the private projects. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the difference between public and private projects? The difference is that if public, it will be accessible to everyone.
Yeah. The
Okay.
private is only accessible for authorization persons.
Only authorization, yeah. Once you add them to the under the users, only then they'll be having the access for your organization. Okay. So right now we are inside the project, but I want you to click on the icon to your left hand side above Azure DevOps, the blue one above that.
Oh, here, yeah.
So you see now, you can see the link now, right? What does the link say? dev.azure.com/Sampath Kumar test. The Google link.
Yes, yeah.
So every organization that you create will start with dev.azure.com/your organization name. Okay. If if someone says you that there is an organization called as Simple, then what is the link that you will have to try is that dev.azure.com/simple. Okay. And you see, we have one project that we have recently created, Azure DevOps, but you can have multiple projects. When you actually start working, you will have multiple projects which will be under a single organization. How will the project segregation happens and how will the organization structure happens? All that we will be discussing in the further classes. Right now, let's go ahead and concentrate on the organization settings first. Okay, because when you right now you created the project, means you created the organization, which says that you are the super admin user of this organization. That means you have all the access for this organization. Okay, where do we see that and how do we control this organization? Everything we will be looking under organization settings. Okay, so you see the gear icon to your left hand side below, called as organization settings. Below, that is for a new organization to create. Below, straight come down below.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So there are several options with respect to the organization settings. We are right now under general. Under that we have overview. Okay, so here overview, the organization name as Sampath Kumar test and what is the URL. Okay, in case if you want to change the URL, you can uncheck that button which is enabled and give your own URL. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
When you're actually working in the company. Okay. In case if you require to change the URL.
Okay.
Then privacy URL will come into picture that time. Okay. In case if you don't want the URL that the Microsoft is giving. You want your own company URL, you can disable that one and enable the privacy URL. Okay. And if you want to give any description for your organization, you have the description box. And time zone, if you want, you can go ahead and set the time zone here, because whatever activity that you're performing inside the organization, right? Like you create, just now you created a project. So what is the
Yeah.
time zone that it takes will be displayed here. Okay. And the region will be taken when you're actually creating the organization. You saw that when we were creating the organization, it gave us an option to choose the region, right? So it is Central US now. And can we change the region once we create the organization? That will not be possible. It will be possible only if you raise a ticket to Microsoft.
Okay.
Okay. You can change the timings if you require, but right now let us not change it. Let us keep it as is.
Okay.
Okay. And the region also, in case if you have a question, can we change the region going forward? Yes, you can change it by raising a request in the Azure portal, which we will be looking at it later. Okay. But the best recommendation is that whenever you create an organization, make sure that you are creating the organization in the region where your users are. Okay. So when you start working, you will know that the users are from Japan. Okay. In case if that is the case, you will have to create the organization using the Japan region or any other region with respect to the client. Okay. Now, can we navigate to the projects? So this is the view which will give you the number of projects that we have created. Right now we have only one, that is the Azure DevOps. And in case if you want to delete the project, you can select the project checkbox, select that and click on the three dots at the end. Yes, you have rename, or don't delete it. Don't delete it.
Yeah.
We have option to rename the project. We have option to delete the project. Okay, this is where you can go ahead and delete or rename the project. Got it?
Yeah.
So now let's go to the users. You can add the new project there also. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you see users, you are the
Yes.
only you, because you have created the organization. But let me tell you, whenever you create an organization, that is the Azure DevOps organization, you have 5 basic licenses free. Okay. That means you can add up to 5 members, which who are all will be free to access your organization. Okay. From the 6th user, you will be charged per user usage. Okay. So I think the charge is maybe $1 per month is what I think. I'll confirm that. Okay. Confirm that. What is the pricing model for Azure DevOps? Or you can even Google it and get back to me as a homework. Okay. Because I want to keep this session interactive also. Okay. So
Okay.
per license, it will be charged based on the number of users that we are adding to the organization. Okay, clear?
Yes.
And if you want to add the users, you see an option to add the users here. Can we click on
Yeah.
add users? Please go ahead and click on add users.
Yeah, I have clicked on it. I think you have some network problem maybe.
హలో
యా బ్రో.
రవి ఏమైంది సార్? వెళ్ళిపోయింది ఏంటి?
నెట్వర్క్ ఇష్యూ వచ్చినట్టుంది యాక్చువల్లీ.
ఓకే ఓకే.
Is what we need. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we need to look at the different access levels that we have. Like, can you click on the drop down? We have basic, we have stakeholder, and we have Visual Studio subscriber. Okay, so as I told you that the first 5 users will have the free basic license. Okay, and you can add any number of stakeholders to your organization because stakeholder access is free, wherein you will have limited access for your users who is having the stakeholder. It is usually like the read-only kind of an access for your organization. Okay, and the Visual Studio subscriber access is when we have Visual Studio subscription, like your professional subscription or the enterprise subscription for your Visual Studio products. Like if you're using a Visual Studio 2019 or Visual Studio Code, any kind of Visual Studio products that you're using and you already have a license for it, then you can use the same license to log into Azure DevOps also. Okay, so this is the just overview about the access level that we have in Azure DevOps. But as a homework, I want both of you to go ahead and understand more about the access level in Azure DevOps. Okay, the same link that we are going to use for all our conversations is the docs.microsoft.com/Azure DevOps. Okay, which one we just opened for creating the organization. Got it? And after the access level, we have below called as the projects. So can you click somewhere else in the window? Yeah, add to projects. You will see a list of projects that your organization has here to add to that particular user. Okay, so just check this box, Azure DevOps. Yes, and come and you see there is one more option that you got in here, that is the checkbox to send the email invites. Okay, so whenever you add the users, an email will be automatically triggered for that particular user that the user has been added to this particular organization and he can access the link via that mail. Okay, so this is about the user management. So can we cancel this? Please click on cancel. And you have an option here to export the users, and also there is one more option in this window which is called as the group rules. Okay, so can we click on the group rules? So here I'll tell you when this group rules will be used. Say for example, instead of providing access or providing the permission to a single user, if we want to create a group at the organization level, okay, we will be using this option. So let's go ahead and create a sample group rule, and we will also see how to use this group rule going forward in the underlying projects. Okay, so click on add a group rule. Yeah, access level, you can, okay, you can take the option of create a new Azure DevOps group. You can give the name as organization test. So that we can differentiation between the group. Okay, and right now you can add your name itself with users. Click on add people. Okay, and you have basic access level. Okay, click on the projects below, select Azure DevOps and click on add below. Yeah, add all will be used when you have number of projects. Okay, so now you have a group rule created with the number of projects and the access that you are given. Okay, so we will be using this group going forward. Can you click on that group now? Organizations test. You can click on the 3 dots at the end. You can manage the group rule, manage the members, and remove the rule also. Okay, so right now you see you can change the access level and the projects going forward. Okay, right now we have only single projects. In case if you have multiple projects and if you want to disable some of the projects, all that you have to do is the disabling the checkbox. Okay, and also right now whenever you see the project, you see below there is an option called as project contributors, right? So what do you understand by project contributors? So this is a group. Okay, so project contributors is a group which will have a list of permissions assigned for that group. We will be seeing about this permissions in a little while later with respect to the project. Okay, so if you click on the drop down there, can you please click on the drop down project on, yeah, that one. You see there are 3 default groups that gets created for a project. This is not for a organization. This is for a project because it is under Azure DevOps, right? So Azure DevOps is a project. Under that you have 3 default groups, that is called as project leaders, project contributors, and project administrators. Okay, so going forward, when we drill down to know more about the project details, we will be looking at all these 3 groups and the permissions that are available for these 3 groups also. Okay, so right now let's go ahead and cancel this. So this is about the user management and the groups management under Azure DevOps organization. So let's go ahead to the next option, which is called as the billing. Usually this billing information will be taken care by the software architect, okay, who will be setting up this organization. But in order to know the details about the billing, I am just giving you the overview about the billing here. So you see an option called a setup billing. So don't click on it, but once you click on it, it will start billing for this organization based on the users that we are adding to the organization. Right now, we have only one user. That's where we have the free licenses still left are 4. So you up to that, you don't have any billing that will be going ahead. Okay, going forward, in case if the number of users are more, you can click on setup billing and it will go ahead and bill you based on the number of users. And if you want to look at the other aspects of billing, so one is the number of users you add to the organization. Based on that, your billing will be done. And the second one, if you see, you have something called as pipelines here. Okay, so pipelines for private projects. In the pipeline, you will have 2 different options to run your pipeline. Right now, I'm not giving you the definition of pipeline. I'm just explaining you about the billing itself. Okay, so pipeline, for now you understand pipeline is a flow. Okay, so going forward, we will have a separate class for that and you will understand more in detail about that. Okay, so you have several options for that, like MS hosted, self-hosted. What is the free minutes that you have, like the free licenses that we had, right, for the users. Similarly, what is the free you have and what is that you will be charged after that. Okay, so and if you come down, you see basic users, you see free as 5, right? So that is what we were explaining. Scroll down, you have basic plus test plans and you see a button called as start free trial. Okay, so what is this? Because all this while we were looking at only the basic users, basic license, right? So what is this basic plus test plans license? Okay, so to answer that question, in Azure DevOps, we have a separate license for testing. Okay, that means if you want to leverage all the test functionality that Azure DevOps provides you, you need to have a separate license for testing. Okay, so for all the testers that your organization want, they will be having a special test plan access also, that we will be seeing going further when we come across the test plans concept. We will be enabling the start free trial, which will be a free trial of 30 days. After that, it will start the billing. Okay, right now let us not enable it because once we start with that component, we will start using this. Okay, so that it will be there for your trial also. Okay, and if you see, as I told you that if you want to have the default access level for the users, the access level that you will have to use is the stakeholder. Okay, so any number of stakeholder you can add into the organization, which will be completely free, but with limited access. Okay, and then if you come down, you see something called as artifacts, which we will be covering going forward. For that also, for now you understand artifacts is like a storage. Okay, so like similarly how you have your drives, right, storage drives. So until 2 GB, the storage is free for the artifact. Post that, it will start billing. Okay, so this is about the billing that we'll have to concentrate. let's move to the next one, which is called as the global notifications. Okay, for today we will be covering up till Azure Active Directory, and from the next class we will be going ahead with the security and the boards and the other options as well. Okay, so right now we are under the global notification. So as the name suggests, it says what are the notifications that gets triggered globally when there is an activity in the Azure DevOps for certain activities that are listed. So right now, one of the notifications that we observed is that whenever we add a new user, email will be triggered, right? So that is one notification. The next notifications that we can get from the Azure DevOps is with respect to the build. Okay, so whenever there is a build completed, you will have a email trigger to the person who completed the build. Okay, for now I know that this will not be understandable completely because build is related to Azure pipelines, which is a module inside Azure DevOps. Okay, so for now keep this as is, and under the code you see code as git. Whenever pull request review is added or removed, pull request completion failures, pull request changes, comment is left on the pull request. Okay, so typically let me not go through each and every event for the notification that happens. So here this is the place where you can see the notifications that will be triggered to you. Notifications usually means the emails that gets triggered to you whenever you perform that particular activity. Okay, so we will come back to this when we actually work. I'll show you what is subscribers, what is the statistics, and what is the settings, and how you can change it also. So one simple sample, what we can do is that, can you hover on build completes? You see the three dots there at the end. Yeah, hover on any of the notification. Yeah, you see the three dots there. Yes, click on that. You see view and disable. You can view on it. So here you see there will be a default table of flow of what this notification usually does. Okay, so it says here deployment completion failure. That means whenever there is a deployment failure, you will be automatically notified. And who will be notified, right? So under the subscriber, you see project collection valid users. So these users will be notified. Usually what happens is when you are added to an organization, you will be by defaultly added to certain groups. Okay, so that will be your project collection valid users. Valid users means you are a user who is authenticated to the organization, right? So you are a valid user, and delivered to whoever is the member of project collection valid users by role, and the roles deployment requested for. That means this notification will not be triggered to everyone who is part of the organization. It will be triggered only to the person who is a subset of project collection valid user and who has actually triggered the deployment. Got it? And here you see what is the filter criteria. That means based on what condition this particular notification will be triggered. That is, whenever the deployment status is equal to failed, or the deployment status is equal to cancel, and last deployment status is equal to succeed, or last deployment status is equal to partially succeeded. Okay, so this we will see going forward. So I don't want you guys to go more detail on it. We will be looking at it in the particular module that we are going forward. Okay, yeah, click on cancel here. Please let me know if I'm going fast or if you're not able to follow me. Please stop me then and there itself. We can clarify the doubts and we can go forward. Okay, next let us go to the usage. Okay, so this usage, I would say we won't be using it mostly when we are actually monitoring the organization, but this will be used for the statistical overview, because whenever you want to see the usage by user, or usage by several other criteria, you can go ahead and look at this page to see what is the usage in TSTUs and what is the count and how is the statistics. Okay, so this is only to measure the performance of an Azure DevOps organization from the performance perspective when something is wrong. Okay, so you see there is a drop down here under the usage, which is called as usage by user, right? Yeah, click on that. You see several other measurement filters, that is usage by pipeline, top users, agents, top commands, and all those things. Okay, so if you want to look at the performance, you will be coming here with respect to the organization view. Okay, next let us go to the extension. There is not much here to go through, only the performance related stuff. Okay, yeah, right now we are under extensions, but before we understand or go about the different options of extensions, let us know what are extensions is. Okay, so extensions are like an added functionality which will allow you to add a plugin to your organization where the organization doesn't have that capability. Okay, so right now we have the organization, we have the project with different modules, but not everything that we want going forward is present in Azure DevOps. Okay, if you have anything specific that you know that extension can do for you, you can go ahead and install that extension and work on it. Okay, so let me show you how does that look like. Can you click on the option called as Browse Marketplace? Right hand side above, yes. So this is similarly like an app store that we use. Okay, so you see extensions for Azure DevOps, and you see several extensions that is already listed down, right? The featured one, most popular one, all those things. So if you click on any of the extension, click on time tracker. It will give you the description of the extension in the overview, how it can be used and where it can be used. So if you see the categories, right? So it says this one can be used under Azure boards. So once we go across all the modules of Azure DevOps, like the Azure boards, Azure repos, test plans, pipelines, artifacts, everything, then you will understand about the categories, and then you will know where these extensions can add the value to the module so that we can actually use it. Okay, whenever you are using the extensions, make sure the extensions is free. If it is a paid one, you will have to go ahead with a paid option, but all these decisions will be taken care by your system architect. Okay, the head of the product guy, that is the product manager kind of a thing. Okay, but to understand, you need to know this is a functionality that we can adopt inside our organization. So what we will be doing is that going forward, we will also install an extension and see how that extension works in that particular module. Okay, for now, this is the basic of the extension. Let's go back. Yeah. Let's go to Azure Active Directory. Yeah. So here, let me tell you what is this Azure Active Directory is. Azure is the service provider that I already mentioned, right? In the cloud provider, Azure is one of the cloud provider. What is Active Directory? So Active Directory is the directory which will list you the number of users that are present in your company. So when you are trying to click on add users, you are able to see all the other members also based on your identity, right? Based on your email ID, you are able to see other your classmates also in that list. How is that possible? That is because whenever you are added with the Active Directory, you will be able to get the complete details of other users who are inside your Active Directory as well. So right now you see what is the Active Directory? You have
My
Azure
university.
right? Your university. That is why you're able to see your classmates ID also.
Yes.
Okay, because your ID is created and linked with the Active Directory, and that is being used whenever you tried creating the organization. Okay, in the similar way, we will also have the company's Active Directory linked under the Azure Active Directory option. Okay.
Okay.
So, so this is few of the concepts or few of the organizational level concepts that we have seen, which we will be actually working when we are going with the Azure DevOps. Okay, so most of them are pretty straightforward, but whenever you want to go ahead and do particular task, you will need the knowledge of all these things. Okay, I have given the overview itself for today, but I want you to take up all these topics, go through all these options, and if you have any doubts with respect to any of the topics that we have covered today, please feel free to ask me in the next class. And there are two things that I had mentioned as the homework, right? So I want you to go ahead and give me the understanding between the basic, stakeholder, and Visual Studio subscriber with whatever different accesses that we have. Okay, and I want each one of you to create an organization and go through all these options and let me know whatever doubts you have. Okay. Yeah, hope the class was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
We have got to learn a few things which was expected out of this class. Okay, going forward, we will not concentrate more on theory at all. Everything will be practical. Okay, so I want every class, I want any one of you to share the screen today. It is, so sorry, I lost your name. Today it
Sampath.
is
Sampath.
Sampath, right? Yeah. Today it is Sampath who will share the screen. Tomorrow I want Ravi to share the screen with whatever we have done till now. Okay, that will be your homework also.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you both. We will be meeting tomorrow at the same time. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. We have a good day.
Have a
Bye.
good day. Goodbye.
Bye.